Hi, folks, and welcome to Tuesday night's edition of the Daily Dose. I'm Pastor Hans, and I'm so glad you chose to tune in tonight. Before we dive in, I'm going to ask you just to do one thing that would help us out a ton. Would you take a minute and share this post and like this post? When you do that, it gets the message out to exponentially more people. So we'd love for you to just take a minute right now, share the post like this. We'd be so grateful, because tonight we're going to talk about something I think every single one of us in our country, in our world, are wrestling with. It's a struggle that's going on inside every one of us. Here's what I think, and maybe you can relate to this. I think when we do the right thing, we have an expectation. We have an expectation as people that everything will sort of go our way. When we do the right thing, we have this expectation that it will feel good, or that we will get something for doing the right thing, that there will be some sort of reward. But here's what I've come to find. Maybe it's true for you as well. When I do the right thing, things don't always go my way. In fact, when I do the right thing, sometimes it can be really hard. There can be a struggle. And I think many of us are experiencing that struggle right now. For example, people of my vintage, those that are maybe under the age of 60, there's a struggle going on in us. All this sheltering in place, this social distancing, wearing masks, it's all a big inconvenience. And part of it is that we know that the majority of people who have passed from this COVID virus, well, they're over the age of 60. We know that we are fairly safe. And so there's this struggle, this sort of ethical dilemma that goes on inside each of us. Well, there was a guy in the Bible by the name of Abram. He would later become Abraham, but Abram was told by God that God was going to use him to bless all the nations of the world. But he looked at Abram and said, I'm going to do this first by giving you a new home. And so he looked at Abram and he said this, the Lord said to Abram, go from your country, leave your people and your father's house, leave your family, and go to the land that I will show you. You see, Abram knew what the right thing to do was. He was going to partner with God to bless all the nations of the world, but it caused him, in order to do that, he needed to leave his country, his home, and his family. And it was really hard. In fact, he would travel out in the wilderness. There would eventually become a famine. And in the 12th chapter of Genesis, it talks about how he was forced to go to Egypt because there was food there. But then there was this evil Pharaoh who he knew would take his wife from him and kill him. And so he told his wife, pretend that you're my sister. And the Pharaoh married his wife. And it became this big mess, this big struggle. You see, Abram knew that doing the right thing often meant a struggle. A friend of mine shared a story with me the other day. It's about a man who found the cocoon of an emperor moth. If you know what an emperor moth is, it's beautiful, giant moths. And so he took this cocoon home and he watched it and watched it and watched it because he wanted to see the moth emerge. And after days and days and days, eventually the moth from the inside of the cocoon scratched a hole in the cocoon. And the man watched the moth struggle and struggle and struggle to try and get out of that cocoon. And doing what he thought was the compassionate thing, he clipped open the cocoon so the moth could come out. And the moth, when he finally saw it, it had this swollen body, but its wings were shriveled. Its wings were shriveled, and the wings would never develop. It would never fly. You see, what the man came to find is that it's the struggle within the cocoon that forces fluids from the moth's body into its wings and helps its wings grow into all they're supposed to be. It's the struggle that builds its wings. You see, folks, as we go through this time where we know what it means to do the right thing, we know what that looks like, but it feels like a bit of a struggle, at times a bit of an inconvenience, at times it's really hard I wonder if we have a God who's using this moment in our lives, this struggle, to help you and me grow into all God wants us to be. That God is using that struggle to turn you and me to grow in us this sense, this greater sense of knowing what it means to love our neighbor as ourselves. I wonder if God is using this struggle to grow in us a greater understanding of what love requires of us. Folks, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this with God and with each other. We're going to close today with Nolan leading us in song, and the song is called Do It Again. It talks about this God who is just relentlessly in love with you and with me, whatever struggles we might face. Have a good night, folks.
Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. Oh, my heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never failed me yet. Never failed me yet. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. 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 Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. never failed me yet.